Good afternoon, Abuja. Good afternoon, Owerri, Lagos, Benin. Good afternoon, Nigeria. My name is Dayo, Omoogun, and you're watching me live from KAFTAN TV studios. This afternoon, we're going to be doing an assessment, a look at the protests, the ongoing protests around the entirety of Nigeria. We're going to be looking at how effective it has been. We're going to be looking at how the security forces are performing. We're going to be looking at the background and a whole lot of other issues attached. Now, with me in the studios to do this are two gentlemen. To my far right, you have Majeed Dahiru, a researcher, journalist, a policy and public affairs analyst. And in the middle, right here next to me, is Ibrahim Garba, a communications expert and consultant. I believe that as you watch us after the break, you will be filled with education and enlightenment. Please stay tuned as we go on a short break. So, gentlemen, Majeed, you're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a great privilege to have you in the studio this afternoon.
To be here today.
Right, you're welcome. Ibrahim Garba, you're welcome too.
Thank you very much for having me once again.
I hope that we'll do a whole lot of some justice to all the issues arising from the protest this afternoon. And I'll start with you, Majeed. We have seen what has played out in the weeks before now. We have seen a whole lot of consultations. We have seen a lot of belly aching. We have seen a lot of some out-of-point remarks by some very highly placed persons, and so on and so forth. And based on what has happened before today, what's your assessment of the effectiveness of the protest thus far? From the reports that you have monitored, from the things you have seen on the streets yourself, what would you say is your assessment?
I think it's been quite effective.
Right.
It has even exceeded expectations given the back and forth we saw in the previous weeks towards averting this protest by the federal government and agents of the state. And what is even making the protest more effective is that it seems to enjoy support and legitimacy among the Nigerian people, who see this as an opportunity to express their feelings, to draw attention to their plight. We're all Nigerians and we live in Nigeria, so we've seen what has been happening in Nigeria in the last 1 year, and a lot of Nigerians see this as an opportunity for the government to be called out, and to be called out on the need to take action. The protests are not necessarily a means of causing crisis. No, it is actually intended to call the government to action, to act and end the misery in the land, and take decisive and firm steps towards ameliorating the social conditions that have resulted into this protest. And I expect the government to have realized by now that all of the measures it took are largely cosmetic towards averting this protest, are largely cosmetic, are ineffective, are simply not realistic, because the issues at the core of the widespread dissatisfaction that is manifesting by way of street protests today run very deep. And so it is time for them to reassess their strategy on how to actually not just put an end to these street protests, but to resolve the contending issues at the root of this current protest that is still under security management. It has not gone out of hand. It's not yet violent, but we want to see the government take concrete steps towards reversing the current plight of the people. And I'm sure people will leave the street and go back home. But until that is done, you may likely see a prolonged period of protest that might escalate into outright social unrest that, unfortunately, and I pray God forbid so, also result into an uprising against the state.
Which is what they have stylishly projected as the reason why they are trying to frustrate the protest in the first place. Now, in the first instance, Ibrahim, do you think, what do you say concerning, what's your assessment of the protest so far?
In the first place, I'll put the blame at the doorstep of the information managers. I'll start with the information handlers of the federal government. Before this time, there were alarm. Statements were issued, and there was so much on the social media before this day, for the fact that a period of 10 days was set aside for the protest to take place. It's an indication that the federal government should be up and running on how to manage the situation. In fact, in a way that people will be convinced that all the demands set aside by the protesters, even if you cannot meet virtually all of them, you take some steps, towards managing the situation. But in between, there are back and forth between the government, the handlers, and all that. And naturally, that right from time, most people, or rather Mr. President today, is the product of activism. He was there, many years back before, before the advent of this democratic setting which we have today, which is over 20 years. He protested. We have the likes of Pa Alfred Rwandi, Shehu Musaya Radu, and so many other people like that. So it happened in the past. So it's not a surprise. So if you are an actor in the field at that time, this is an opportunity for you to say, okay, being a participant, let me devise ways or means I can handle it. So I'm not surprised with the outcome of the protest today. I've had feelers from most parts of the nation, especially from Kano. Kano today, even the government house, the governor, as yesterday, invited the protesters to the government house, for him to have a dialogue with them. But it turned out ugly. Some parts of Kano, some shops were vandalized, and all that. So many things are happening. And the earlier the government come up with a quick solution, the better for it.
Thank you, Ibrahim. So you are saying that if the media managers of the government had been up to it, they could have staved off what we are seeing right now?
Yes. Why I say that, Dayo, is the fact that what stops them from convincing Mr. President to talk to Nigerians? A week before now, there have been this agitation that Mr. President should address Nigerians on some of these demands. Even if it's okay, the minimum wage bill have been signed into law, the local government autonomy, is now on, and so many other things. It's not activated. People are not seeing it. Does it translate to the high cost of living? So there are so many indicators showing that there is a disconnect between those in power and the citizens. So, and at that point, the information managers and what is coming out from the presidency is as if they are attacking rather than finding the way of mediating so that these things can be nipped in the bud. It's Nigerians, we can't take them for granted now. Being the most populous nation in Africa, and people were more enlightened. So it's not out of place for you to say, okay, these things that are happening, Mr. President, we should find a way in between, at least speak to Nigerians. So that is why I faulted the information managers.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Majeed, you'll come in here. I like to have your take on some of the, in line with what you just said. I'd like to have your take on some of the very provocative statements that have emerged from some high-ranking officials of this government. For example, the Senate President was somewhere day before yesterday and said, let them be protesting while we are eating. And we have had some other people, Wike, for example, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, was so blatant when he was responding to the issue of a letter asking for the use of Eagle Square. If we all consider that these assets are Nigerian assets and that these persons in these positions of authority only hold them in trust for the generality of Nigerians, don't you think that it was too much talk out of turn from those people? And what do you think can be done about this, particularly in the case of the Senate President, who on no less than 3 or 4 occasions now has really not held his or expressed his thoughts properly?
I think our political leaders are behaving like drunken sailors in charge of a sinking ship. And what you see happening today by way of this protest is that those on board are no longer willing to stand idly by and allow drunken sailors to sink their ship. So they want to seize the reign of the ship of the state and stay to safety. Such levels of irresponsible statements, responsible insensitive remarks from people occupying such high offices is simply an indication of a thoroughly degenerate political leadership in Nigeria that lacks the capacity to regenerate itself even when the signs are clear. That the system can no longer sustain their profligacy, their corruption, their aloofness, their incompetence and cluelessness. They are incapable of perceiving what is smelling in the air. And that's one of the tragedies of this current administration. Ahead of the elections in 2023, we had a session at Luxter where we made some scenario analysis of pre- and post-election Nigeria and what are the likely outcomes that will happen. In that session, before the think tank of the Luxter Leadership Foundation, we came to a conclusion that what we need to bother about more is not the pre-election violence that will likely take place, but the post-election scenario, because it's going to be a function of the outcome of that election. So we identified 3 leading candidates that stand equal chance of winning the elections: Peter Obi of the Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. And in each of these scenarios, we said, look, for instance, if Peter Obi was to emerge as president of Nigeria by 2023, and he decides to play the victim mentality, being the first Nigerian from the southeast to be elected as president in the history of Nigeria, maybe somehow unconsciously maybe decides to give to the southeast what he believes have been deprived of them over the past years, and maybe in the process begins to marginalize others while he promotes the southeast agenda. We said, look, the IPOB-like scenario in the southeast will occur in the north, for example, where banditry and Boko Haram insurgency might assume a regional dimension that will become like a resistance movement to his rule. And so you're going to witness a lot of sabotages here and there that will complicate national security for him. So the reason why we did this analysis was, in case he emerges as president, he should avoid this dangerous curve of Igbo-centric presidency. That was on one hand. And for Atiku Abubakar, we said, look, given the momentum in the country towards the southern presidency, and Atiku Abubakar being from the north, who was at that time contesting against a P2B from the southeast and an Aswajan Abulatin from the southwest, that if he were to emerge as president on the strength of northern votes alone, and he decides to be another Buhari, in order to point out to the base that actually gave him the mandate, that the wind of secession that is blowing across the south will engulf the southwest so strongly that you will now have a thoroughly divided Nigeria, where the entire south might be inching towards secession from Nigeria. And so to also prevent this from happening, if he were to emerge as president, he should avoid this very dangerous curve. And for Asiwaju said, he's from the right part of the country. He's a southerner. And because of his background as a Nigerian of southwest origin, where you don't have tendencies of ethnic or religious bigotry, that he will not necessarily alienate the Christian community of Nigeria, even though we're running on a Muslim ticket. But that what he will have to contend with is the issue of good governance. He will be judged solely on the issue of good governance, delivery, service delivery. And we predicted that if within 1 year of Asiwaju taking over government, he does not as much as steer the ship of state from the wrong direction towards the right direction. Even if it doesn't move it an inch beyond that, but just steer the ship of state towards the right direction. And for people to see that, okay, there's a conscious movement towards the right direction. He might not get to the destination that is desired, but when we see work in progress, as we know, that if he does not do that, we predicted that within 1 year of his administration, there will be a popular uprising against his government.
Which is what is showing.
And that was, if you observe, in my commentaries and analysis and write-ups, before the election, during the election and after, I was subtly, using criticism anyway, to point out to President Bola Tinubu on the need to realize that Nigeria of 2023 and 2024 is not the Nigeria of 1999, 2007, 2011, and 2015. A lot has changed. The fact that he narrowly won the presidency in 2023 by scoring the most, but rather by attaining the most narrow of victories since 1999. Asiwaju is the first president in Nigerian history that did not emerge as president with majority of the vote cast. In fact, he emerged with the minority of the vote cast, like 1/3 of the vote cast. Meaning more Nigerians considered him unfit for that position than considered him fit.
Right.
And most importantly and most significantly, he lost his own home state of Lagos. He lost an important part of Nigeria like the FCT. He lost an important northern state like Kano and Katsina. And of course, media reports indicate that he even lost Rivers State, but for some manipulations that got an to announce him as the winner of Rivers State. And in that election, we saw a third first candidate like Peter Obi, without a structure, without any establishment support, who came close to winning that election because of people power.
Right.
And the three leading candidates scored, or should I say, won 12 states apiece. I mean, imagine the resources, the power of incumbency, and all of the advantages available to the APC candidate. Yet, a fringe candidate like the Labour Party's candidate of Mr. Peter Obi took 12 states, 11 regular states, and the FCT, making it 12. So, it simply tells you that Nigerians ordinarily didn't want to vote for you. Even in your home state, you were rejected. That should have been a shock therapy to the president, to realize that whatever template he was running before is no longer acceptable in today's Nigeria. And so that's why I advised him several. I said, Mr. President, commit class suicide now. Make a detour. Take a deliberate step to move away from that which you associated with before and turn a new leaf. That is what this election indicates for you. And because of your rich credentials as a democracy activist, I think it will be too difficult for you to go back to the spirit, to the letter and intent of pro-democracy activism by being a president of change, true change in 2024. Fortunately, Mr. President, the tennis administration running on the same old establishment template that is obsolete, that's outdated, that is no longer tolerable in today's Nigeria.
Now, I'm going to stop you there and also take you up on the very basis of what you have said. If you say that he started on the very basis of the old order, I like to bring to your remembrance the fact that all the candidates, all the major candidates, all talked about fuel subsidy and that they were going to remove fuel subsidy if they got into power. And that's what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done. Unfortunately, that's the very cornerstone of the anger of most Nigerians. Now, based on what you have said, and based on this feeling within the masses of the people, what exactly could the president have done differently?
Okay, thank you very much. The first thing the president should have done differently was between the period he was elected as president and his inauguration. It was about a 3-month period,
Right.
between February and May. I had expected the president to have taken judicial note of his narrow victory and realize all of these things I've talked about now that characterizes the Nigeria of 2023. I should have seen the president, we should have seen the president, ahead of inauguration, assembling a cabinet that will be made up of the best of Nigerians from the 36 states of the Federation and probably the FCT, from anywhere they can be found in the world, that can inspire confidence in Nigerians that this man means well. Unfortunately, it took him a long time. He almost did not meet up with the constitutional deadline to assemble his cabinet. He only nominated without inaugurating them. And he ended up with a cabinet that was essentially a compensation for the political associate.
Right.
And I said to Mr. President, these people failed you. You had the speaker, Majeed Amina then from Lagos. You had someone who was governor of Lagos. You lost Lagos. You had Abdullah Adamu as chairman of APC, national chairman of APC. You lost Nasarawa, his home state. You had Adam Soshomole, the former chairman of your party from Edo State. You lost Edo State. The current chairman is from Kano. You lost Kano. You have prominent governors like Madam Nasir El-Rufai and others supporting you from the Northwest. You lost 5 states in the Northwest. You lost 5 states in the Northeast. This should have been an eye-opener to tell him that the establishment in Nigeria has lost its relevance in the life of the people, and people have rejected the establishment. So should have aligned with the people and substituted patronage with good governance, starting with a stellar cabinet. He failed to do that. On the issue of fuel subsidy, I did not blame the president entirely for that because it was a national consensus on the eve of 2023 election that subsidy should go, which was a national error.
Why do you say that?
You see, those that talk about subsidy removal on petrol, they didn't factor in the very important matter, the fundamental issue of energy security in one of the analysis and permutations. And I've always faulted any proposition at all that seeks to move subsidy on vital energy products and services that drives the economy. Petrol, in the case of Nigeria, is Nigeria's most important, most utilized energy product that drives the bulk of the economy. And any attempt to raise the price beyond affordability threshold by removal of subsidy is going to create the level of problems you are seeing today that no palliative and no amelioration can resolve except to reverse it. It was there. However, when the president removed subsidy on the first day, he was simply fulfilling his campaign promise. But when he realized that this was not the right thing to do, in addition to the flotation of the naira, something that no country in the developed hemisphere has done. And let me emphasize this. Subsidy removal, in addition to the flotation of the naira, is essentially responsible for the hardship that Nigerians are facing enough today to want them to end bad governance. And I have pointed out severally, consistently too, that there's no country in the world that does not subsidize energy, including petrol for its citizens. None. Absolutely none. Because it's a core responsibility of the state. You see, energy security is an important and integral part of national security. And that is why governments all over the world impose subsidies, because energy security means and entails three things: affordability of energy, availability and accessibility at all times. Because it is the foundation of the economy. And so because of the affordability component of energy security, government, as a matter of national priority, always have a subsidy regime in place. The only time price of energy is allowed at market rate is when the factors of production of energy puts the price, even at market rate, below affordability threshold. So every country measures the affordability threshold of its citizens. For example, as a Nigerian, you cannot afford petrol beyond 150 naira. With your 30,000 naira or even now something like minimum wage. Government should know this and absorb the cost of the outstanding because of energy security. But when we are talking about subsidy removal, all of us agreed to it. We voted for it. All the three candidates pledged to do it.
Right.
Yes. But when you now sit down there and you have realized this error, you are supposed to retrace your steps. And not only retracing your step in energy security or the matter of subsidy, there's something fundamental that drove this orthodoxy of subsidy removal and flotation of the naira, which is the neoliberal economic practices that has pervaded Nigeria since 1999. That needs to be reversed. I have thought that when the president came in and saw the books, he would have assembled a team that would advise to say, look, Mr. President, we need to take a different direction from the one that has been taken over the years, and begin to put the state, as I've always insisted, the state must be at the driver's seat of an economy, as it is in the United States of America, as it is in the UK, as it is in the European Union, as it is in the Middle East and all over the world and China. Government must be involved in the means of production. Government has business doing business, because the only business of government is to do business. And anyone that cannot do business has no business being incompetent in the first place. I have thought that the president should have known that the neoliberal economics that we practiced has taken us down the road to a country with the richest man in Africa and the poorest people in the world, and it's no longer sustainable. But because he was still operating on that template, he didn't allow for robust negotiations and conversations. It has run him into trouble. And I'm sure the man didn't intend to create this crisis that we are facing now. Right. It was not his intention, absolutely not. But we have always told him that this operating system is no longer sustainable. It is in fault from the beginning. And it needs to change. I've said it several times, we need to take a left turn to get to the right direction. Meaning, we must move away from your right-wing economic practices to the left. But Mr. President, in committing class suicide, has a responsibility too to reposition the state. If one the state to undertake its rightful place in the means of production, the leader of the state must also reposition the state to be above board, like Caesar's wife, by again committing class suicide and killing corruption in its entirety. This is where we are today. It is not too late. If he can reverse his policies today and make this deliberate turn towards the right direction by taking the left turn, I am sure that Nigerians will see reasons and begin to restore hope in his renewed hope mandate.
Thank you, Dayo. Garba, or I'll call you Ibrahim. I'll be coming to you after the break. We'll go on a break shortly. But before then, I'd like to ask this very direct question, Majeed, and that's where you will be taking off from, Ibrahim. So, if you had the ears of Mr. President, would you tell him to reverse the fuel subsidy removal?
To the levels he meant it.
Yes, to the levels.
On the morning of May 29, 2023, he has to reverse it to that level. He also needs to even impose subsidy on diesel.
All right.
Aviation fuel.
Okay.
And electricity.
And electricity.
Yes.
Not just fuel now.
Because...
No, because I'd like us to take a
all
break.
energy products
Yeah.
now need subsidy to reflect the economy, including diesel. Ask manufacturers and I will tell you.
All right. Now, there's something you said, but I'd like Ibrahim to take it up from there when we get back from break. When you said he needs to reverse himself, and which you have just confirmed,
Yes.
and you said something that government has business
In
doing
business.
in business.
That's the major role of
But
government.
what we have been sold
Yes.
all these years by capitalist systems has been that government has little or nothing to do with business.
It's a
Now,
fallacy.
so Ibrahim, after the break, we'll get back from that point. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned. It's still the protest discussions that were on from KAFTAN TV. You heard Majeed Dahiru saying, before we went for a breather just now, saying that if he had the ears of Mr. President, he'll ask him to reverse himself on the subsidy removal thing, but not just that, that he needs also to grant subsidy on energy, on diesel. Now, I go to you, Ibrahim. Now, what's your take? We have had fuel subsidy removal. We have had flotation of the naira. We have had hike in the tariffs of energy. How do this help the average Nigerian? And how does it help even the administration in achieving its own goals and creating a good image for itself? Is that the right way to go?
Dayo, I listened to the analysis being made by the Majeed. Now, let me start this way. I believe in one thing. As a leader, there are times you take big decisions. And when you take that decision, or rather before taking such a decision, you must have done some, research.
Right, yes.
He mentioned that all the candidates, the major candidates, Atiku, Peter Obi, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they all agreed the subsidy must go. And why is this so? It's commonplace that most of these monies being paid, they go into wrong hands.
Okay.
Nigerians are aware that it was not helping matters. The fact that you go to the filling station to buy fuel, you still join queue despite the subsidy removal, calls to mind that something is wrong somewhere. So by that decision Bola Ahmed Tinubu took, a lot of Nigerians hailed him, and the only thing I faulted was the monies gotten from subsidy. How is it?
Where is it?
So I kept asking that question. That is one. Then number two, Majeed will agree with me that our economy at that time was very weak.
Right.
And to run a government, you need resources. We are talking about debt, which was has gone so high, and we're talking about infrastructural development and all that. So many things requiring spending, but the money is not available. So taking that decision at that time saved the nation averagely more than 500 billion naira in a month or more. So I will begin to ask, at that time, what must the president do? You formed your cabinet, and like he mentioned, you must compensate those that help you come into power. That is politics.
Okay, so there was nothing wrong in assembling the team that he assembled.
If you have to, because as you come in, we all know the shelf life of every politician is 4 years. As soon as you assume office, you are planning for the next election, because everybody wants to run 2 terms.
Right.
And to do that, you still look backwards and see who were those people there for you on the field. You mentioned that he lost in Lagos and some key areas in the northwest and northeast. What really transpired at that time? If Atiku Abubakar had won or Peter Obi had won, what should have happened? This same thing we're experiencing today, is it going to be the same thing coming from these 2 gentlemen? We have good managers of the economy, but where I continue to see the fault line is around sentiments and indiscrimination. You are from the southeast, or I'm from the northwest and all that. If it's not my candidate, I cannot be loyal to that person. So that's problem we have as a nation. So if
so as far as you are concerned, Ibrahim, you don't agree that something fundamental, like a midpoint, if not total reversal, like a midpoint reversal of the current policy of government is necessary to reflect the economy, like he said, and to at least make life a little bit tolerable, a little bit bearable for the average Nigerian. You don't
see,
think so?
Where I believe he got it from was this money saved from subsidies, taxation and all that should have been used to reflect the economy, not
but
by
not seeing that now.
No,
so what happens?
Hold on. The moment those people at the National Assembly begin to see money coming in, their demands increases. They need vehicles, they need funding, and themselves first before other Nigerians. So a situation whereby every member of the National Assembly, is demanding for an SUV, 160 million naira, and constituency allowances and all that. These monies, it's not as if we have enough. We are still operating on deficit. So at the time he came into office, the Minister of Finance at that time, was saying we needed almost 80% to fund our budget. That's we're operating on deficit. So at that level, sacrifices are needed. But whereas he was put under pressure, he's dreaming or rather thinking of second term of office. So there was a lacuna. So that means he needs to go back to the drawing board. Something is wrong somewhere. At this point, will you be thinking of 2027 when you've not put the economy in shape?
So somehow, you and him agree that something fundamental needs to be done.
Needs to be done
to reverse the downward trend that we're experiencing.
But at this point, if you ask me, I will not support this idea of say reversing or rather removing the first subsidy. That's going back to restoring. The first subsidy. That's going back to square one.
Right.
But what I would advise is, one, let's look at certain areas which people seem not to, talk about. The informal sector, which constitutes about 80% of the Nigerian economy. We have issues of multiple taxation. We have issues of Market Traders Association of Nigeria. These are the people that are helping sustain the economy. So if the lending rate is as high as 26-27%, how will they survive? We have issues of importation where customs are charging as high as 15-20% on duty on goods coming in, especially consumables. These are weak areas. Not quite too long, we are advocating for one thing, that we should open up our borders, allow these consumables, we need them. And if we are importing, say, rice, why should we, put tariff on rice when every Nigerian, demands that at least you should have one bag in your home? Make it affordable. So there are gray areas you can exploit and work with manufacturers. We have the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Even the other time we monitored the report from Dangote that, the MPC rates now as high as over almost 30%. We weaken the economy. They will not survive it. So if we begin to look at these areas, if you remove subsidy and at the same time you reduce this tariff, it will help the economy to reflate. But even as much as we continue to harp on this subsidy, increase revenue, or rather the minimum wage and all that, the electricity tariff, so there's a lot of confusion in the system. So, but I believe we can find a way around it. Up to the time this protest started, Mr. President had the opportunity, I was saying it sometimes ago, that yes, talk to Nigerians. Okay, today, just like it happened during the subsidy, the price per bag across the nation, 30,000 naira. I'm going to open up the borders. I'm going to create internal competition. Multiple taxation gone. So these are some of the areas that weaken the economy. Go to the market. I interface with market traders. These are the general complaints. Most of the goods coming in through the borders or internally attract heavy tariff because the price of diesel continue to be on the increase. So if, for instance, you are not going to subsidize petrol, why not subsidize diesel? Because these are, things most of these very heavy vehicles use to move these goods inwards.
Right.
We're a consumption nation now, right now, but we must begin to look at areas we can improve upon so that by the time the goods reach the end user, at least it's more or less affordable.
All right. You'll take this just before I go to Majeed. The hope that was sold to us while the subsidy was removed, we can see from the screen that there's reasonable peace in this protest, right?
Yeah.
All these clips we have seen thus far show that everything is properly managed. Both the people themselves are not necessarily being unruly. There's no unruliness here. And I think that the security forces themselves are also in proper control and doing a great job. So I come back to you. Now, so I'm saying, you agree that there's a, first of all, so the hope that was sold to us was that so much money will come in from the removal of the subsidy, which will be channeled into several other investments and revenue generating ventures. But we have not seen, I don't know, maybe, have you seen any of that?
So far so good. I think we're beginning to see some improvement, especially in terms of infrastructural development, the Lagos Calabar coastal roads, and some decisions being taken by the government to help improve on infrastructure. The only area I feel the government should improve upon is the economy itself, because we are more or less a trading nation,
right?
And every day we go to the market. In as much as we want to improve the living standard of every Nigerian, we should empower those at the lower spectrum of the society, especially the market traders. Give them, facilities, and these so-called palliatives we are dishing out on a daily basis. Why it's not getting across to them? Because we don't have people clustered in the way you can reach out to these people. That is one. Then number two, I don't believe in all these palliatives. For me, it's not relevant. What people need is the capital to do business. Every household, in fact, most family men today we know have accounts in the bank. Why not reach out to them? Surprisingly, it's okay, you are here, Dayo, 50,000, 100,000 is credited to your account, from the federal government account. We need to start seeing these signs that people are feeling the impact. But in as much as you can't say you release 20 trucks to each state of the federation and people are not even seeing the impact, that means it doesn't add up. It doesn't work.
Let me still take you up, Ibrahim. Don't you feel I don't know how you feel with the fact that, in spite of the fact that a subsidy has been removed and we're promised that huge revenues will be generated thereby, government is still going ahead to borrow a whole lot of money even as we speak.
That's why I'm saying the level of consumption and our expectation, especially with the fact that you need to pay salaries. and the minimum wage now has been jacked up by more than 100%. Where do you get this money to pay?
No, that's a recent development.
Even before this time, there are cases whereby we need to service some of these debts. IMF, the World Bank, giving out loans and grants to this country, they were structured in such a way that most of this money are not going to infrastructural development. If you go through, and at the same time, he came in with a caveat. This is how we want you to spend this money, and you must devalue your naira. So a lot of, intricacies involved in this thing. So, and that is why I said, if you look inwards, you can find the solution inwards. Our problem are homegrown. So the solutions are within. So when you listen to a cross-section of analysts telling you these are things you need to put in place, look inwards, because we have very good managers of the economy. It's not about talking alone. They have been there, it's in practice, and it's doable. So it's not too late for Mr. President to reverse on some of these policies. The ones that are not working, throw them away. But again, like Majeed had rightly pointed out, this man came in with a plan, and he needs a team to work with. And raising this team from feelers I got, there are some ministers today that cannot even have access to him because they are not delivering. And Nigerians are saying, rejig your cabinet, bring in the experts. During President Goodluck Jonathan's time, he discovered a lot of talents for this country. Akemi Adesina is one of them. Right. He's doing well overseas. So we have people that can help, this economy to improve. But so long as you continue to patronize those that have nothing to deliver, the economy will continue to go down. So he needs to go back to the drawing board immediately. And this is a challenge for him. Because I believe right now, Tinubu, wherever he is, he's not comfortable with what is happening at the moment.
All right, Ibrahim, thanks. So at least we have some common ground in the fact that he needs to rejig his team. We have some common ground on the fact that he needs to also tweak some of his policies. So that's some common ground there. I would want to ask Majeed. Now, there is this narrative going around that this government ought to have been given a lot more time before this kind of action is embarked upon. That has been a very strong, strongly at play in the last few days. And I'm asking, if you didn't need time, if you didn't need more than a day to put in, to remove subsidy, do you need 4 years to make life bearable for people to live at least? No, nobody's asking to. We're not asking that 200 million Nigerians must live a posh life, but we're asking that at least the basics should be available to the average Nigerian. And so, do you need 3 years? Do you need 4 years? Because I believe that the God that can make negativity happen should also be able to make positivity happen, and in good time too. What do you think?
You don't need 4 years, and 1 year is more than enough to make an impact. Like I said earlier, nobody's expecting the president to solve all of Nigeria's problems, even in 4 years. We're saying, steer the ship of state towards the right direction for people to see. For example, you are going to go from here to Kaduna, and you head towards Kubwa. Even if you get to Kubwa Expressway and you get stuck there, but at least you are in the right direction towards Kaduna.
Rather than being on the way to Nasarawa.
As though we are going to Lokoja. Nigeria has been trying to go to Beijing on the road that leads to Washington. And we're saying, Mr. President, change that direction. The ill-advised removal of petrol subsidy, though a national consensus, but I was not part of that consensus.
From the beginning?
Since I was born. Common sense have told me that you can't touch energy security, because why? What air, oxygen is to you and I as human beings is what energy is to the economy. So for example, if I suffocate you and prevent you from having either free air, or I put a price tag on it that is beyond your reach, you're going to develop complications that money I try to save by billing you for air cannot resolve. That's the problem you are saying. It's fundamental economics. That is why all over the world, all over, and Nigeria was an exception, energy is never, ever priced according to market dictates. No, it doesn't happen anywhere. Does not happen anywhere. Energy and food, these two. It doesn't happen anywhere. Not in America. America spends approximately $50 billion annually to subsidize fossil fuels. Russia spends as much as $35 billion annually to subsidize fossil fuels. China spends as much as $132 billion annually to subsidize all range of energy. As of 2023, Germany rolled out a subsidy plan for electricity for homes and businesses. Now we see the government absorbing as much as 75% of the cost. That was going to cost the government 85 billion euros. And why did they do that? They said they want to compete with China in the export market.
So where are we getting our own ideas from?
Only from hell. They were in hell. Because those who told to move subsidy, don't move subsidy at home. I challenge anybody to tell me, have you ever heard an open conversation about subsidy on energy or not in the United States of America? Even during the presidential campaign, it doesn't come up. It's a matter of national security. France, where our president likes to go and hibernate all the time, utilizes electricity as its most important energy product. France owns a state-owned power company called the EDF. The EDF, by the way, is a multinational company. It operates in the UK, it operates in South America, it operates in other parts of Europe. In fact, it runs the largest transmission network in the world at 80,000 kilometers of high tension network. It is owned by the French government. That company provides electricity at home at a cost subsidized that the government does not disclose. So it's in the budget. But as a citizen, just know that you have affordable electricity. It is the responsibility of the state, because the state and the government, it's like God on earth. So when God gives you oxygen free of charge to breathe in, to stay alive, it is how government is supposed to make sure that energy, if not free, must be affordable. All our policy makers, all our pundits did not think when they propounded this theory of something more on petrol. The problem that's created cannot be resolved by any other means except a reversal. It is not, it's impracticable. Many people do not know why the Labour Party won elections in the UK. Many Nigerians don't know. You see, the UK, like Nigeria, privatized its power companies and energy companies during the Thatcher years in the 80s and early 90s. So UK is one of the few European countries who do not have state-owned enterprises in energy production. So in UK, the EDF of France provides electricity for UK at a commercial rate, and the profits from there goes to subsidize one at home. Sweden, as a government, owns an enterprise that runs the largest windmill in the UK. Then Russia is a major supplier of energy to the UK through state-owned enterprises like Gazprom. And so when the Russia-Ukraine war hit hard, and there were disruptions in supply chains, and Russia tried to punish Europe with its energy infrastructure, UK was the hardest hit. Because countries like Germany have state-owned and state-backed energy companies all over the country, so they simply retain energy at home. Norway, the same thing. Finland, most of these countries have government operating in this sector and providing subsidized electricity and other utilized energy products at home. But UK didn't have any. That was the cost of living crisis you saw in the UK.
That's why the party lost.
Which now necessitated the conservative government to impose $100 billion subsidy on electricity. They call it energy price cap. Ask anybody living in the UK, they have electricity subsidy in UK today. Because at the point, before the subsidy came in, the white man you know that was dissent, that doesn't commit crime, started tampering with his meter to make to cope. It was that bad. They had to impose a subsidy. Do you know what the Labour guys promised? Sir Keir Starmer, in 2020, when this issue started, said, well, as Labour Party, when they come into government, they are going to establish the Greater British Energy as a state-owned enterprise that provide energy at home, the same way that the EDF and other European nations have state-owned energy companies that are mitigating the cost of energy at home. That was the rallying cry for that was the victory you saw that was overwhelming. And ahead of his inauguration, once there were indication that he has won, he already designated the minister that will run this enterprise. It's already in process. Before the Mayor of London, Sadiq, who is also of the Labour Party, established a municipal power company to provide power for London residents only at a subsidized rate. He said because, according to him, the people of London are energy impoverished. That's why life is harder in UK than most of other European countries. It's energy. Energy. Again, it is like oxygen to the human being, what it is to the economy. So the day you put a high price on it that goes beyond the reach of the producers is a problem. The reason why it is impossible that you have to exit this solid state of being an import-dependent economy is largely due to energy security. You know why? You want to compare a manufacturer in China who has probably free energy with interest rate free loan with all the government support you can think of producing, say, footwears, and the one that is in Aba here that has to buy diesel at 1,200 per litre or 1,003 and use petrol of 700 to transport it from his factory to the shop, and you expect the one that comes from China not to be cheaper than the one that is made even in another market. That is the issue. So every country in the world had first sorted out this matter. Again, it's no fault of Nigerians when everybody tells you that this is the right thing to be done. And all the people you trust, all the candidates, all the eggheads say the same thing. Yeah. But again, a few of us on the margin said this was an error. Have you observed that nobody has come out to give solutions to this problem? Among all the eggheads that came out to talk about subsidy removal as an economic virtue, nobody has. And to tell that the government itself has realized the fallacy in this policy, there is a total subsidy imposed as we speak at 700 naira per litre for petrol. Because they realize the price will never come down. And let me tell you something. You asked Ibrahim about the savings from. There are no savings. You know why? It's not about corruption. The inflation caused by the subsidy removal and the flotation of the naira has eaten up government revenue. 1 billion in 2023 is about 5 billion today. Yes. As I speak to you, let me shock you. Most governors that were elected in 2023 cannot change the fleet of vehicles that they're driving, because the cost of one VIP executive level SUV that they like to buy is almost $1 billion naira. If you do that, you can't pay salary. That is, it has even impoverished government finances, and that was why the increase in revenue we are talking about was what Professor Lido called illusion of money. It's plenty. It has no value.
Nothing. No value.
Because the fundamentals that should be in place
are not there.
Have been removed. It has created multidimensional crisis in the economy that nothing can resolve until what to those fundamentals.
So we take a break, Majeed, and then we'll move on from there.
In a world where information is vital to every individual, a platform where technology is a medium to pass information, you can always catch up on all information written in the newspapers, even without having one. Join us on The Press.
Live from the Abuja studios.
On The Punch for this morning. The Blueprint newspaper, Nigerian Tribune this morning.
As we give you information and opinions about current events and topical issues on politics, business, sports, entertainment, weather forecast, and lots more in the local city, across all states, and across all countries. Showing daily on Startimes, channel 124, 9 a.m. West African time, only on KAFTAN TV. Stay connected with us.
That he said it is a reason why I will not do it.
I pursue the federal government to pay us our damages.
YouTube, KAFTAN TV.
A very tricky one. And then the bottom line is this.
Website www.kaftan.tv.
Point is, the youth must come together. The pendulum can swing in your favor.
Instagram Kaftan_TV. Kaftan TV. Imagine a beautiful world. In a world where information is vital to every individual, a platform where technology is a medium to pass information, you can always catch up on all information written in the newspapers, even without having one. Join us on The Press.
Reaching you live from the Abuja studios.
On the punch for this morning, the Blueprint newspaper Nigerian Tribune this morning.
As we give you information and opinions about current events and topical issues on politics, business, sports, entertainment, weather forecasts, and lots more in the local city, across all states, and across all countries. Showing daily on Startimes, channel 124, 9 a.m. West African time, only on KAFTAN TV. Stay connected with us.
That he said it is a reason why I will not do it.
I pursue the federal government to pay us our damages.
YouTube, KAFTAN TV.
A very tricky one. And then the bottom line is this.
Website www.kaftan.tv.
Point is, the youth must come together. The pendulum can swing in your favor.
Instagram Kaftan_TV. Kaftan TV. Imagine a beautiful world. In a world where information is vital to every individual, a platform where technology is a medium to pass information, you can always catch up on all information written in the newspapers, even without having one. Join us on The Press.
Reaching you live from the Abuja studios.
On the punch for this morning, the Blueprint newspaper Nigerian Tribune this morning.
As we give you information and opinions about current events and topical issues on politics, business, sports, entertainment, weather forecasts, and lots more in the local city, across all states, and across all countries. Showing daily on Startimes, channel 124, 9 a.m. West African time, only on KAFTAN TV. Stay connected with us.
That he said it is a reason why I will not do it.
I pursue the federal government to pay us our damages.
YouTube, KAFTAN TV.
A very tricky one. And then the bottom line is this.
Website www.kaftan.tv.
Point is, the youth must come together. The pendulum can swing in your favor.
Instagram Kaftan_TV. Kaftan TV. Imagine a beautiful world.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with KAFTAN TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on KAFTAN News at 7.
Are living in up to 5%. Are young people. We propose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on KAFTAN TV News at 7.
We found that the general not sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching. Join us again at 9
KAFTAN TV News.
Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned to KAFTAN TV. I'm sure that you are being thoroughly educated. I'm sure that we all have a proper understanding of the dynamics of this crisis. I'm sure that we're better informed about certain things that were probably cloudy to us before now. And I can assure you that as we progress, even better understanding will come to all of us. Just stay tuned to your darling station, KAFTAN TV. Thank you. Now, we'll go on right now. I I notice, I don't know whether you have noticed also, Ibrahim, that it looks as though the governors, they're not so much, only a few have really spoken out to say there's no need for this protest, and when they do, it's as if they do it feebly, and they do it only concerning their own states because of their own, apparently, not necessarily on the large scale, not necessarily advocating that this should not hold, except for a few states who have outrightly said, yes, you are welcome. Indeed, I was shocked and pleasantly surprised when the Edo Commissioner of Police said they would support protesters with sweets and sachet water. I was shocked. I was shocked. But that's also a reading of what the governor wants to happen, because everybody would want that which they think that they can reap from, they can exploit. So I'm saying, don't you think that there could have been a lot more that the governors could have done to stave this off? That's one. It's a two-way thing. Also, has the federal government not wasted the huge opportunity they have in staving this off by actually pushing back the people to say, look, go to your governors? Because whether we like it or not, we operate a federal system, and we do know that a huge portion of resources go to the states on a regular basis. We do know that states like Bayelsa, states like Delta, and such other states regularly pocket humongous sums. Yet, what you see in terms of development does not reflect even half of what they get. Now, so I'm saying, because I'm returning to what you said when you said that the managers, the information managers of government have not done enough. Now, if the president, like you said before, had used the opportunity of this protest to call the leaders of the protest of whatever, and said, look, why are you focused only on the federal? I think that would have given them a breather, and I think that it would have also rejigged the focus of the people. What do you say?
Dayo, thank you very much. I want us to focus on one thing. That is, let's look at this whole issue entirely. The role of the subnationals in this whole project.
Yes.
I want to, before I respond to that, I want us to look at the energy sector, because while Majeed was analyzing some of the roles played by the international communities, their systems and all that, there's one thing I found out. When you mention subsidies as much as 130 billion, 85 billion or 50 billion, what is our annual budget of today? It's still hovering around 10 to 11, 12 billion US dollars averagely. Now, we have the energy system, we have we have about four refineries in Nigeria now, and Dangote refinery. How many, or what is our output as at this moment? The OPEC quota given to Nigeria is approximately above 2 million barrels per month, or rather per day. What are we generating on a daily basis?
Who should fix that, Ibrahim?
Good. I'm coming to that point. Because if we can generate 2 million barrels per day, some of these issues can be resolved. Because we are trading away almost 1 million barrels per day, which is not coming to the coffers. You are using it to service debts. So how much do we have in reserve? So there's a need, urgent need for us to begin to find ways of meeting up these OPEC quotas. If we can sustain this for 6 months, I can tell you we are going to see massive improvement in our economy.
Isn't that one of the ways by which the savings from...
Excuse me, I'm going somewhere, Dayo.
Yeah.
Another thing is the fact that this tango between Dangote, the NNPC and all that, it doesn't help matters, because if you are supplying crude to Dangote, how much are you giving Dangote per day? How much is it going to assess? It's no more than 200,000 barrels per day, which you have in reserve. Ordinarily, if this is sold, it goes back to the Federation account, and now you say you are going to trade in Naira. See, what I'm seeing here is that the refineries which we have is not properly managed. Why are you keeping the staff? You are paying their salaries for doing nothing. Have you thought about that? You are not producing and I'm paying. So there's a lot of leakages in the system that we need to look at it holistically. Mr. President has not sat down and said, okay, let me look at these issues. You are the Minister of Petroleum. How much is it? How much is coming into the Federation account? How much am I paying as salary? Now, NNPC is not a quoted liability company, it's NNPCL, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it's NNPCL, what am I generating from NNPCL? What about the subsidiaries? So there's a lot of monies. You know, I want to draw attention to that. There's a lot of money being paid out for nothing. People are just coming to the office doing nothing. So if we can look at that, or rather Mr. President to take a look at all this, then oil mining licenses that have been given out, how much are we giving to IOCs? The volumes we give them per day. So all these things should be factored into the issues that should be brought forward before the Executive Council to look at holistically. That is one. Then number two, we talk about the role of the subnationals. How many governors today do you see them generating internally to augment some of these deficiencies? Lagos State, yes, generating a lot of money in terms of revenue per month. What about other states of the Federation? So the governors, why we are pushing this blame, or rather pushing this back to the governors, for them to look inwards, to be more creative internally. Like what Mr. President is doing right now is, if you generate 30%, I give you 70%. If you generate 50%, I give you 50%. So let's look at these issues. That is why we said we have the capacity to manage our economy, but we found that the level of corruption in play at the moment is making it very difficult. But I like this protest the way it's going on now. They are putting all their thinking caps to find a way around it. And I know from the benefit of hindsight that Mr. President will want to say, okay, let it go, let it happen. Then we can talk to ourselves face to face. Before this time, he had a meeting with the governors. What came out of it? What did they discuss? Nobody knew about it. Everything is shrouded in secrecy. And government will not. You see, you need to be transparent enough for Nigerians to know this is what you are doing. And in the long run, we should be heading somewhere. So we are not seeing solutions coming from anywhere. And that's why I say, okay, now let us start with the refinery. This is our main source of revenue. If we can fix the refinery, when it came into power, it's okay. Money should be allocated to fixing Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery. What about Kaduna Refinery? If Kaduna Refinery is working today, we don't need a Dangote Refinery, because Dangote is on its business. So if we cannot subsidize the energy, we are going to find it very difficult to survive as a nation. That's on one side. Then number two, we have lands across the nation. In the north today, they are threatened by Boko Haram, bandits and all that. Insecurity is the bane of our problem. What are we doing to improve our insecurity?
Exactly.
Because we need to go back to the farms. And I'll tell you, before Buhari came into power, how many rice mills do we have? We have just about 6 rice mills. The one he was leaving office, how many? Over 1,000. So I think we are making progress in terms of food security. Let's go back to the drawing board, because we cannot just rely on import alone. There are saboteurs in this whole business. So we must begin to look at this issue holistically. That is why I said, okay, sometimes I don't look at the international economies. I look at the Nigerian economy. What can we do? Because we cannot compete. Rather, these international economies will continue to weaken our system by requesting that we keep funds with them. So there's a whole lot to talk about, but like anytime Majeed speaks, I mean, it's fine. But even if we are looking at it internationally, we cannot compete now. We don't have the capacity to compete. But we should think of homegrown solutions to address some of these
Which is exactly
problems.
what he's saying, like for us to reverse the policy of subsidy removal. Now, just hold on. Dear viewers, this is to assure you that you would have opportunities to participate in this program. It's not going to end at the regular time that it normally ends before now. It's extended a little bit, so just hold on. You'll have time to call in, because many of you would think that in a few minutes, in less than 14-30 minutes, that it will come to an end, but I think that we still have about 40 minutes to go, about 45 minutes to go. So just be rest assured that you have opportunities to make your own contributions. Just hold on there. Just stay tuned. This is your darling station. Stay tuned. Tell somebody that something is happening, that a great analysis is happening here. Let them connect to us so that together we can build a greater nation, so that together we can enlighten ourselves, so that together we can encourage the government to take the right steps that will take us out of gloom and doom into the prosperity that we also desire. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you. Now, so quickly, Majeed, now, through the courts, through the justice system, the judiciary, the government has been able to clip, to a large extent, the wings of the protesters by, say, restricting them to certain places. In a particular place, they said they cannot do more than a day. I don't know, is it the FCT? This is a place where they said you can't do more than 1 day. In Abuja, they are restricted to the MKO Abiola Stadium, and so on and so forth. Now, if my memory serves me right, this must be the first time that this is happening. Now, so does it mean that government has suddenly found a permanent way by which opposition or dissenting opinions can be silenced forever? Or do you think it will be a case of like Chino Achebe says in Things Fall Apart, since the hunter has learned to shoot without missing, the naked bird has also learned to fly without perching. Yeah.
Some of these judicial pronouncements actually lack the principle of natural justice, and so they are usually defied. If you look at the media reports today, all pronouncements or ruling about restricted protests have been practically defied, and that cannot be enforced. So I wonder why the judiciary sometimes puts itself on the firing line when we need more pragmatic solutions to the problems at hand. What you see brewing in Nigeria is social unrest. It's beyond protests, because the problems that Nigerians are contending with are existential in nature. This is different from somebody just protesting subsidy removal or protesting lack of higher wages or protesting mundane issues such as maybe gay rights, for example, in some other jurisdictions. This is protesting existential issues, as in I can't survive.
This is going to kill me.
Exactly. And so such a protest is something that needs to be seriously handled with tact, common sense, and native wisdom. So going to court to get this order, you can see that even the Abuja landlord, who thinks he's an all-conquering lion, been tamed by protesters. The Commissioner of Police went to the stadium this morning and tried to get protesters into the stadium. He did not succeed.
Yeah.
You see, there's a limit to which you can test the people's resolve. And I say, we saw this coming. For many years, we've been saying we're going to get to this point. You see, Ibrahim made a very good point about the subnationals and their roles. But I have bad news for Ibrahim. There's nothing they can do. You know why? The operating system has made indolence and idleness of government a virtue, an economic virtue. So if you go around the 30 states of the Federation today, hardly will you see one establishment of the government that is a revenue generating enterprise. Hardly will you see. Are you not scandalized that since 1999, and despite the huge sums of money that be going to the Niger Delta states by way of 30% derivation fund, there is not a state in the Niger Delta with a modular refinery of its own? Are you not surprised that for a state like Kogi and Nasarawa, that is endowed with very relevant natural resources? In Kogi, for example, there is not a single state-owned enterprise in any of the mining or value addition industries to mineral resources. Would that be state-owned manufacturing? Would that be state-owned marble company? We don't have nothing. The same thing with Nasarawa. It's just recently we saw a Chinese firm coming in and the state said they're in partnership with them. Well, that is left for us to see later. Go to Benue, go to Cross River, go to Taraba, go to Plateau. These are some of the most fertile belts in Nigeria's vegetative zone in this country that has the potentials to not just feed Nigeria but to export. The state governments in these exportive states have not done anything tangible by way of converting their agri-potentials to wealth through investment. It's not existing. Because there's an operating system that says government shouldn't do business. Because our politicians like that easy way out. They are junketing on the world looking for investors that never comes. As at January this year, a number of states, I won't mention those states now, including very important states you'll be surprised are in this category, have spent billions of naira looking for foreign investors. None has come. Nobody will come to a place that is virgin. It will require the state government or the federal government to do the heavy lifting investments that would de-risk your potentials as a state. Farmers will now come. So for example, when people went to Qatar, I told people that Qatar will come to Nigeria to invest. No, they will not. Go and look at Qatar's investment pattern. Nigeria does not qualify for Qatari's investments. And somebody asked why, I said, wait, first and foremost, the Qatari economy itself was developed by Qatar's state-owned enterprise, Qatar Gas, Qatar Energy, fundamentally. And when it did that, it unlocked its own potentials and grew its sovereign wealth fund to $500 billion, with which it is now doing overseas investments. What does Qatar do? Qatar looks at the thriving economy, very thriving product and service, and invest there to get profit from that thriving economy.
In an already thriving...
They don't have the energy. Look, if you look at the Qatari man himself, he doesn't have the time to come to Nigeria and start quarreling with government officials over right of way, over multiple times. He doesn't have that energy. So he simply goes to the West and invests in blue chip companies and gets his dividend back. He goes to China, it does the same. Goes to France and invests in Total, invests in thriving enterprises that already tied it up. Where would the Qatari start in Nigeria to invest? Where would they start from? So, in essence, you have to look at how other countries have developed and follow the trajectory. When you follow the trajectory, at a point, even if you don't meet up with them, because they are also moving, you will be self-sufficient to a level where you can have enough wealth to go around. So, as we speak, our 36 states federating units are idle giants that do nothing and simply enjoy the spoils of monthly allocation. That's all. Because there's an orthodoxy that is making that possible, and that has to change. We must put before them an agenda that says, hey, go and start investing your monthly allocation in enterprises. Want to see them. My job, I talk about internal generated revenue. I have always faulted the concept of internal generated revenue. I
have my reservations with
I don't support it.
Internally generated.
It's another,
because a lot of times you emasculate the people
multiple
for
taxation he talked about is a product of internal generated revenue. It is not a good economic concept at all. What we should focus on is externally generated revenue through export competitiveness. So if you go to China, you don't hear about taxation so much. You go to even the United States, a party like the Republican Party always lowers taxes. So we wonder, how do they make money? Export competitiveness. America invests in a lot of companies that are globally competitive. For instance, there's an EV vehicle, an EV vehicle war going on between China and America. Chinese people give $5 billion in subsidy to EV manufacturers so that their products will be cheaper in the international market compared to what's going out of America. And so when we go to the market to buy EV vehicles, we buy Chinese one because it is cheaper. So what did the American government do? They've also dished out $2 billion in support to their own EV manufacturers. They're going to make this money back when these entities make profit and pay appropriate levels of taxes. For the Chinese, they pay dividend to the government. So, but everything has to be external. You have to go to the pool, to the common pool to extract. I'm saying that Nigeria is overripe now to join the league of global competitiveness. But we must get certain fundamentals right. And the political class must realize that, look, we can no longer continue like... What we are saying now is that we can't continue like this anymore. We can't. And so it is requiring now, it is most urgent now, that President Tinubu should lead his colleagues, his friends and associates in the political class to commit class suicide. Without that, even their self-preservation is under threat. Because the level of misery and hopelessness in the land, what is driving these protests is a helplessness that appears hopeless. It's like, there's no ray of hope. If it is driving this process because our political leaders are living like rock stars, you would think that they are oil sheikhs of the Middle East. You would think that they are CEOs of some of the biggest companies in the West. Just take a look at their social media handle. From the Senate President to his deputy, to the Speaker, to the Deputy, to the President, to the Vice President. They are in competition of profligacy.
Hold your thoughts, Majeed. We'll go on a break. And after this break, you finish... Please stay focused on that thought. You'll finish that thought, and then we'll take just one question, and then we'll open the phone lines.
It's okay.
Yeah.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with KAFTAN TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on KAFTAN News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Our young people, we propose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on KAFTAN TV News at 7.
We found that the general tax is not actually sufficient.
National foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching. Join us again at 9
KAFTAN TV News.
Thank you, viewers. We're back, and Majeed will take off from this point, and shortly after we'll take maybe one more question from Ibrahim, and thereafter we'll open the phone line. So get ready. Many of you have been itching to make your calls. We are ready. We'll be taking your calls. We'll be taking your contributions because we value your contributions, because we're partners together on the road to progress, to development, to prosperity of this country, the only country that we can all call ours. So we will be taking your calls very shortly. Stay tuned, stay focused, stay ready. Thank you.
You see, the competition of profligacy by the ruling elite in Nigeria is even driving the hopelessness more, because it looks as though these people are truly drunken sailors about the sinking ship, meaning they have no solution. They are so self-indulged that they are so detached and aloof from the reality on ground. And all the Senate President can tell that while you are protesting, we will be eating.
Imagine that.
That is provocative.
Very.
Some people came out to protest today because of that singular statement. And Mr. President, when we advise you that you need to drop your cabinet in its entirety, it was an error ab initio. Again, because I think our president didn't understand the changing times and the fact that it cannot be business as usual.
So sorry to cut you, and please don't lose the train of thought. When you say in its entirety, are you saying that there's no 2, 3, 4, 5 persons that we can point to who are doing a great job?
And I'll tell you why. The basis of the composition of the cabinet was political patronage. You see, I have political exposure in addition to being a journalist. And I'll tell you something. When you give somebody a ministry because he works for you to become president,
it's not driven.
He's going to convert that NDA to his political fiefdom to further his own interest to back you up. And we say, Mr. President, we are no longer there. I've seen the fact that this heavyweight that rallied around you in the last election couldn't deliver their states to you. Meaning people that simply want good governance. So substitute patronage with good governance. So constitute a cabinet that every member, we are in an emergency. Every member of your cabinet will be brought in based on, hey, I am told that you have the competence to do this. I have the activity to do this. That is all they are going to judge you with. And if in 3 months, 6 months, you are not doing it, I'm not your friend. I don't know you. I fire you. Get the best person to man the petroleum ministry. Get the best person to man the finance ministry. Get the best person to man agriculture ministry, defense, police affairs. Look at this portfolio and look at the people occupying them today. And tell me if as a citizen you are inspired by their quality, their character, and integrity quotient. Tell me if you are inspired. So this is a driving hopelessness. But the day Nigerians now see a cabinet that is made up of people of integrity and competence, they will know that you as president, you are serious. Even with this hardship, let me tell you, they have tolerated something removal. If the cabinet, for instance, and the general working operation of the government showed sign of progressivism, they would have endured, believing that someday,
very soon.
We've witnessed this in the past. General Olusegun Obasanjo as president assembled a stellar cabinet, and we saw the result. What we are saying today is not rocket science. We saw the result. He left Nigeria far better than he met it, and from the first day in office, it was steady improvement till the 8th year in office. So what we are saying is not alien to Nigeria. I would have told him how to go about it. Now it is clear that you've got Treasury to Abuja. You assembled governors. They couldn't prevent the protests. They could not. What should I tell you? Your minister of Abuja couldn't prevent the protests. He couldn't. The protested in Abuja, the protested in River State, his home state. That should tell you something. That you now need the people more than the strong men. And to get the people, please deliver good governance to them in form of welfare and security. And even the strong men will benefit, good Nigerians as well. They benefit. If he's able to do this, there will be signaling of hope. And Nigerians will now sit down and say, this is the Tinubu we used to know in the 90s. The Tinubu that was Lagos governor. And maybe, just maybe, 1 year is still early in the day. We are now seeing signs that there's indeed hope in his renewed hope agenda. People will be patient. Nigerians are very patient. But when you behave, when you and your officials behave in this manner, go to the social media handle. You will think that competing as to whose message is bigger than the other.
That's all.
That's all.
It's very unfortunate.
I was having an analysis with somebody and I said, I have tried several and unsuccessfully to check the motorcade of the chairman, Joint Chief of Staff of the United States of American Armed Forces. I've not seen it anywhere on the internet. Instead I Google, I want to see the own profligacy. I can't see it. In Nigeria, the head of prisons, the head of civil defense, road safety, all have very long motorcades, and it begins to look as though that is what the office is all about.
So we will need to go on and as we close on this side, so that we can give the people a chance to talk. Ibrahim, in the face of all this, we saw a charade a few days ago of women assembled from around the country who came to carry placards saying no to the protest. And today, even today, there were still attempts to bring those kind of people to the National Stadium. Now, what does that say to you? Does it show any sign of seriousness in actually addressing the matter at hand? That's one. Two, who exactly is stoking the fire of crisis in this matter? When you do what happened today, for example?
Look,
because if those people had gotten inside, what else do you think would have happened if not crisis?
So Dayo, I think I mentioned it.
My dear viewers, please get ready. After Ibrahim, we'll throw open the phone lines so you can have your take.
I mentioned it earlier that the government underestimated this protest. They thought maybe it's about the fuel subsidy or maybe other issues like hunger and all that. So earlier today, I saw the Commissioner of Police having an engagement with one of the leading protesters, insisting that they should move into the stadium. But there is a plan. If we move into the stadium, are we football fans? No, we are here for business. So there's something fundamentally wrong with the system. And I went round. Please, Dayo, look at the faces of these security personnel. Are they happy?
Okay.
You and I are watching them. Are they really happy with the system? They go to the same market with you. I used to see them on convoy. Look at their faces, bearing guns, bearing rifles, and you say they should shoot at protesters? How much is their monthly income? And they don't have other alternative sources of income. So I think they got it all wrong. And if we continue with this protest tomorrow, Dayo, something may happen. Because as at the time I came into the studio this afternoon, I saw people vandalizing some of these federal government facilities. I saw people burning tires. So much is happening at the moment. And you say something is not wrong in the system. It's not about, the fuel subsidy or whatever. It's about the system which we have that is not working and it's not favorable. So it's time for us to look inwards. And like my brother here mentioned, Mr. President should start thinking of, rejigging the system. It's not too late to do that. Yes, I cannot 100% say all of them have performed badly, but then it is right time for it to go through everybody's profile. What is the job of Hadith Abala Usman, who is coordinating, already supervising the ministries? Is there any report card tender before Nigerians that yes, these are the people performing and these are those that should be disengaged? So something is wrong somewhere. So there's no communication. There's a gap. There's a breakdown in communication, because like he pointed out, they are competing for the best with the, who should ride the best cars, who should,
on trivialities, on absurdities.
So we should, it's time for us now as Nigerians to decide. Nigerians are taking over their country, and they're telling you this is what we want. And it's either you give them, or the protest might extend beyond 10 days.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Let's see if we can take this caller. Hello, are you there?
I think he has.
I think he's gone. Nigerians, please do make your call now. Let's have your take on the issues surrounding the protest. Let's have your understanding of what we have talked about all this while, so we can all be all together enlightened and educated, and so we can have a greater country. Hello.
Hello, good day, sir.
Tell me, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Muhammad. I'm calling from Abuja. From
Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Please make your contribution.
Yeah, I can see you, and I can see Majeed, and I can see the other man. Yeah, what people are saying is good. But the problem we are having in this country, I'm involved, you are involved, everyone are involved. Let's face reality. Nigerians now, most especially the youth we are talking about, they are living fake lives. They don't want to work. They don't want to struggle at all. all what they want is red meat. I'm not saying everything is going nowhere, my brother. I'm not saying that. I'm feeling it. But I'm not the people that are protesting there. Can we point out that article Sunday, Obi Sunday, all these people with politicians are mentioning their name? Is there none about Sunday or Dora? They are chiefs. They are outside Nigerians. They are now using the masses to cause problems. We have no other country more than Nigeria.
Well, Mohammed,
this country
yeah,
is what we have.
Mohammed, Mohammed, I like if we can make it as snappy as possible because we want to take as many people as possible. But quickly, I'll respond to.
If we have to make this Nigeria to be great, let every one of us go back to our drawing board. Let me check myself. You check yourself. You check people around you. Then Nigeria will be great. There's corruption everywhere.
Agreed, Mohammed. If you are still listening, Mohammed, I'm sure you can hear me. We will need to find out, the names you have mentioned, those people have no challenges buying whatever petrol at whatever prices. They have no issues buying bread or gari. They can buy at whatever prices. This is not anything connected with those people. I think there's a misunderstanding there. This is a people's listen.
I'm not saying that they are part of the protest.
You say they are using that, where are their own children? That where their own children on the streets, that they are using people to fight maybe an unnecessary fight. So on that score, I like you to understand that this has nothing to do. Absolutely, I do not see any political motivation here. I go to the market, my wife goes to the market, people go to the market, they know how much beans used to cost and how much it costs right now, and this is the foundation of this protest. These are the motivating factors. So I think that when we make our contributions, we make our contributions based on the realities around us and not on any figment of our imagination. Thank you.
As you said, you go to market. When other people go to market, I go to market too. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So in that market you are referring to, there are some people that having goods on ground before even this problem. Now they use that one as an excuse. We are the masses. I'm a Muslim. Before Salah, I went to market to go and buy ram. I got that ram 120,000 and I paid the money. But I get to the Salah to go and collect my ram back. The man in quarter said I have to add 306,000 to the money. Is that government? Hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Nathaniel Omoni.
Maybe you need to reduce the volume of your TV set so we can hear you better. Yes, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Your name again?
My name is Nathaniel Omoni Ako. I'm calling from Kaduna State.
Yeah, please go on.
Please, all our leaders in this country have failed us. All our leaders, 99% of all Nigerian leaders have failed us. And it's only God that will prevail us from their hands. God has given us opportunity to strive right now to make sure that we say our right outside. Because youth, they will say youth are the leader of tomorrow. But this time around, we are not the leader of tomorrow because it's not showing us a sign that we are the leaders of tomorrow. All our leaders, they know where they send all their children to. We thank God for the benefit of this protest these days. But we believe that God will intercede for us and He's going to fight for us. But we want our leaders now to show themselves, all the governors, status, all the what is going on in this country. Some are cabals sitting behind to call this country a mess. We know that this our protest is going to go beyond this, and God is going to show Himself for us and fight for us for this protest.
because this protest is beyond our own mindset right now. And we know that God is going to fight for us.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
My mind now to tell you this, in this very, very protest, is that this protest is not in only Nigeria, it's all over the country. Because all the youth are, in fact, there is no food.
Nathaniel, you need to begin to round up your thoughts. Thank you. So we can allow as many people. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling from. Quickly, please.
My name is Matthew Akor. I'm calling from Benue State.
Right. Please go ahead.
I want to appreciate the brothers in the studio.
Thank you.
You are a wonderful analyst.
They can hear you and they appreciate the compliments. Go ahead, please.
I would go ahead to say one or two things about the ongoing protests and the bad governance protests. I feel President Bola Tinubu doesn't know exactly what is happening in Nigeria. I'm saying this with all sense of seriousness. He doesn't. If the president we voted for knows exactly what Nigerians are going through since after the removal of fuel subsidy, if he really knows what Nigerians are going through, and Nigerians are telling him that things are tough, we are hungry, we are dying, our children can no longer go to school, we can no longer access medical care. If they've been crying and they've been warning and telling him that if nothing is done, till 1st of August we are going to protest, and the president of a nation like Nigeria is keeping mute, he has not come out for once to address the nation, I think I will be correct to tell Nigerians that the president we have doesn't know exactly what is going on in Nigeria. I want to use this medium to beg the president to forget everything his advisors and ministers are telling him. He needs to come out and address Nigerians immediately. Let me shock you now. I've gone around where I am in Benue State. I've gone around. Somebody, one of the analysts.
Where exactly are you in Benue State?
I'm in Majeed.
Right. Okay. Go on.
I'm in Majeed.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Now, as I'm speaking to you, sir, the military, they are trying to use. Believe me honestly, if this protest continue till the second day, the third day, the military will turn their barrel against their superiors. Because I met a lot of military people today. I spoke with them, I interacted with them, and I discovered that they are 100% in support of this protest. For this protest not to escalate into something beyond what we can control, the president should come out immediately, return back fuel subsidy. If he can do that, this protest will die off.
Thank you very much, Matthew. That's a very strong point that you have made, and I do hope that the powers that be are listening and would do the right thing. Thank you for calling. Hello. Hello. Hello, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is from Taraba.
Can you do something to cut off the background noise? Can you do something to cut off the background noise?
Yes, sir. Just let me reduce the volume.
No, not the volume. If you can arrange for the children to cut out their noise. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Just it's okay, sir.
Right. You can go ahead now.
Okay, sir. My contribution is all the protesters, as you can see, are the children from the family.
Are the children of the what?
All around. The children from the hungry families.
Okay, from the hungry families, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. All over the place, no food, no correct job, nothing. So you have to go out for this thing so that the government can feel us and see the hardship we are in Nigeria.
Yeah, please.
So, hello?
Go on. We can hear you, and you can please round up your thoughts quickly.
Okay, sir. Thank God we have people like you that understand everything. You have savings can go to the marketplace, and all of us can go there and we see the hardship. So we're there for begging you people to help us.
Thank you very much.
The hardship we have now.
That's the whole essence of the program. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Your name?
My name is Ibrahim.
You're calling from where?
I'm calling from Kobe State.
Yes, please, fire on quickly.
Yes, I just want to use this medium to thank you, all of you, that your contribution about this situation. It is very okay that if government does not take action about this can lead to whatever else. But I pray God will not let that to happen.
Amen.
That's my contribution now.
Thank you. And thank you for making it snappy. I hope that every other person, one or two more persons that will take a cue from you. All right. Hello.
Hello, President.
Good afternoon.
This is Blessed from Kuali in Abuja.
All right. Please go on and make your contribution.
Thank you. I really appreciate everyone in the studio right now. And as Nigeria is presently, I want to greatly appreciate everyone for their contribution.
Thank you.
Like I said, I want to contribute. Talk about the youth.
There's some distortion. What's happening?
Hello?
Oh, go ahead now.
Yes. I hear people talking about youth, saying that youth are lazy people.
Oh no. Blessed. Maybe you should change your location a little.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's clear, but once in a while there comes this distortion and all that. But we'd like to hear you. You are the first woman who is making a contribution this afternoon, so we want to hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
It says parents and youth. I have 2 children in the university.
Yeah.
I have 2 in secondary school.
Yeah.
He has collected loans.
Oh my.
Oh
my. Blessed, as much as we appreciate, we would love to hear you. The distortions are not ceasing. Would you want to call back? Please, in another minute, please try. Would really love to listen to you. And maybe you change your location, go to the room, the bedroom, or go to the parlor, or go to the backyard. Yeah? Yes, please.
Yes, like I'm saying, the market today, something you're supposed to buy 50,000 naira or 50,000 naira with a bad price. You never said it good now. Go to the market with 40,000 naira with light up. What the government? This government knows there are things to do. This city you use your mouth or the move, you use your smartphone. Let them have their peace.
Well, I think your point is made. I think I was able to pick what you said. The same amount with which you made the removal use it to also restore it. I think we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, Blessed, so that other persons can contribute. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh. Hello? 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 Hello?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you can hear me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Liberty Oseni and I'm calling from Abuja.
Did you say Liberty?
Yes, Liberty as in freedom.
Yes. Please go on. Go on quickly.
Liberty as in freedom.
Yes, please go on.
Yes, Dr. Majeed, thank you so much. You've carried the same energy from Nigeria info to that place.
Thank you very much.
Mine is clear. As of last year, I wrote an article where I made it so clear that Nigerian state cannot survive subsidy removal. Just as Majeed said, subsidy is energy security. Chile is one of the examples that removed subsidy, they couldn't make it. And I think that the Nigeria and African intellectuals who are going around the places discussing neoliberal should focus attention more on developmental economics.
Yes.
The narrative of neoliberal is clearly intellectual exercise, but it does not serve when it comes to real economic application. If you think that subsidy is scam, how come during the time of economic meltdown, the American states were pumping money? As a matter of fact, the only reason the state exists is able to manage the public resources for public goods. So what is conversation about the state cannot do business? But one thing I know just as Majeed,
yeah.
the money we have lost as a result of subsidy removal is more than the money we have paid for removing subsidy. So it becomes penny-wise pound foolish.
Liberty, we will leave it there because we're short of time, but you're making some fantastic points. Please join us again next edition. Thank you very much. Thanks.
All right,
thank you very much. Yeah. And so, gentlemen, in 20 seconds, just your last line, Ibrahim, your last line, 20 seconds.
Well, for me, the protest is inevitable, and it's a time for government to sit down and look at areas they can improve upon to salvage the situation.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much, Majeed. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for coming. When we call upon you another time, please don't hesitate to be part of us. We are all in this together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers.